Which one's better? Kix, Cheerios? Preference, Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the number one baby exercise that can influence all of development. It's a milestone you actually haven't heard of before. It's called the absolute horizon. Now, the absolute horizon is the most amazing baby milestone that there is. It is one of the most foundational things that need to happen in the body for optimal development. And so with my baby here that I gotta go grab, we are going to talk about the absolute horizon. The absolute horizon is the baby's orientation. Here, which one do you like? Kix or Cheerios? They're the same. Kix, so you don't get to choose. How about Cheerios? The absolute horizon is your baby's orientation in space. So what does that mean? Okay, orientation in space. It's knowing top from bottom, front from back, front from back, and side to side. Does your baby know where they're at in space? One way that you can check is if you go in, whoop, kerplunk, is if you go in and work with your baby and you do the airplane. Can your baby do the airplane? So if you grab a baby and hold him up, what are you doing? You're being silly. Hold them up and see if they can do the airplane. I don't know if I can keep her in the radius of the video here. Okay, like this. You have your baby, you hold them up. The airplane. She's not doing the airplane. See how those legs are not coming out? They're hanging down. Okay, my baby cannot do the airplane. She does not have great orientation in her body. If my other baby wakes up during this video, I will show you the airplane. She has it really good, okay? So that's one good way to measure if your baby has the absolute horizon. The legs go out, the head comes up, and they hover in space. And you can bring them back down, and then they come and they just sit really comfortably on your side. You can bring them back up, they sprawl out, and now they're not scared, okay? They're not going like, ah! Your baby's super comfortable. You bring them up, and they do the airplane. So, the absolute horizon, most amazing baby milestone that there is, and so foundational. And so the way that you have to think about the absolute horizon is the structure of the body. It's the foundation that all the developmental milestones build off of. Vision, emotional, sensory, senses, any other senses. It builds off of the absolute horizon. So how do you work with your baby's absolute horizon? Because you've never heard of the milestone before. It's really, really simple. And I'm not going to, I studied mathematics, the rotational mathematics of movement, and I've studied Michelle Turner's work for a long time. She's the creator of Movement Lesson, and she is the one who discovered the absolute horizon milestone. And I use it with all my children, typical and atypical. It's awesome. This child's a little bit more on the atypical side of things. But like I said, I have a baby that is 4 months old. She's typical, and she gets Movement Lesson, okay? She gets these foundations fortified so that she gets optimal development. Don't you want optimal development for your baby? I do. So that's why we're here on this video. So now working with your baby. Working with your baby can be difficult, especially if they're a mover. If they're very complex, medically complex, things like that, sometimes it can be a little bit easier, but at the same time, they may be really sensitive. And so it can be hard. So there's a couple things when you're working on the absolute horizon. Number one is you want to come in with a rotational touch. So what is a rotational touch? Okay, linear is like a line. To bring forward, bring back. Like that's linear. Okay, rotation is round, round. Pretend like you have a ball in your hand. Round, rotation. Okay, we want a rotational touch. We want to work with our child in round movements. The second thing is you want to be really, 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 really gentle. This is number 2. If you think about a bug that lands on you, think about like a mosquito. I actually looked up how much weight it is. It's not very much. Like, just like over 100,000 mosquitoes to make a pound. Like, it's disgusting. But anyway, you think of a mosquito landing on you. It's very light, very gentle. And you feel that little needle nose come in and prick you. Like, that needle nose is not like any bigger than a piece of hair, okay? A little tiny piece of hair. But you feel that. They're not being hard. They're not being, well, they are being invasive, and your body feels that. But it's very gentle. And you can feel that. Okay? Your body is that sensitive to touch. So when you're working with your child, you want to be very gentle, like a mosquito, just not invasive, okay? You want to be loving and kind to your child. And work with them. And you want to touch in a way that they can still move in any direction that they want to, especially if they're a mover. The point is to do the exercise and be like, oh, hey, I need to position you here. Oh, hey, I need to position you here. Oh, hey, I need to position you here. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. So, when you're working with your baby, the absolute horizon, the best way to think about it is, you probably heard it before, but you have a meridian line just here down your body, down the very center. Now, this is exterior. I want you to take that meridian line, and I literally want you to go through the center of the body. So like if I had a circle and we went through the center of the circle, like that's the line that we're working on, okay? And you're going to go down through the center of the body. And this point is what we're going to work around. This is how we're going to work on establishing the absolute horizon. Your child should have almost like this imaginary meridian line that's established. That's the structure that tells the body right from left, front to back, top from bottom. It's orientation, okay? It establishes, I won't get into technical terms, but it's really awesome, the mathematics too of this. So, you're going to imagine that meridian line, and what we want to do is we want to rotate around the meridian line. So if you think of like a hurricane and you think of the eye of the storm, how it's just like space and it's cylindrical, and the whole storm just rotates around this eye, okay? That the eye is the structure of the storm. And so we want to create a structure for your child. And that's just to give you a visual of like, what exactly am I working on? That's what we're working on, is that kind of just structure. We've got the eye of the storm, and then we're working on rotation all around that eye, okay? Come here, baby. And so if your child's a mover, or if they're not, you just want to work with them in every which way. I'll at least move her to keep her in the camera. But, okay, here we go. So, working with your child, okay? Working on the absolute horizon. She's going up and down. I'm going to be a little bit more forceful here. This is not the kind of gentle touch you use with your child, but okay, I'm going to have her here, and you're going to go around and move the body around like this, like you're moving it around the center, okay? But how you're really going to do it, you're going to come in with the intent, even though you're like, I don't know what the absolute horizon is, okay? If you come in with this intent, you'll be working on the absolute horizon. And you'll just have to trust me a little bit and try this by faith, okay? Just even if you're worried about your baby and you just want to have an inkling of a hope that this could help your baby start progressing, okay? Just try that seed of faith, okay? So, but first you have to believe that this will work. So you're going to come in, and I'm being very gentle. I'm like hovering on her, okay? Her body's sensitive to that. You think about when a mosquito landing on you, you can feel it. Her body is sensitive to this. And I want it to be a good and inviting experience for her. I don't want her body to know that I'm actually working on this, which is why we want to be gentle. Because we want to create subconscious functions. I don't want her to be aware of movement. The more aware we are of movement, the more we regress. I don't want her to have to think about movement. I just want things to happen. And if your child's developing typically, things just happen and you're not worried. If you're here and you're worried about your child, okay, things are not happening for your child, and you need to help create those subconscious movements. I really like to call them subclinical movements. I learned when she was having seizures, there's Clinical seizures, subclinical seizures. Clinical seizures, you can see, like a grand mal, things like that. Subclinical seizures can only be seen with an EEG through like a brain thing that goes on the head through measuring electrical impulses of the brain. And so they're subclinical. There's no physical sign of the seizures. And so that's what we want to work on like subclinical movement. The absolute horizon is a movement that you don't see and you don't think about using. And so here the whole time, I'm just going to be working around her like this. I'm going really fast, but I just want to show you in my mind's eye, like I'm imagining her body just orienting itself around this absolute horizon. Head, chest, pelvis, okay? And we want to sync those up. Now, what are you looking for when you do this? What you're looking for is as I rotate to the right, remember, like I'm imagining I have a ball in my hand. When you rotate to the right, it feels nice, smooth, easy. And you can rotate to the left, it still feels nice, smooth, easy, and balanced. And when you're rotating, it's rotating around that center so it feels equal on both sides. If you are not feeling that in your child, okay, their absolute horizon is off. And you want to keep doing this exercise until you can feel that balance. But that's just to give you a feel of what you're looking for when you know you're getting into that absolute horizon. What you doing, babe? And so she's going to go up and down. And because she's moving so much, sometimes I'll have the chest, sometimes I'll have the head, sometimes I'll have the pelvis. And I'm just going to work around those areas. Oh, here's another one. Right here. And I'm going to try and hit all areas so you can see me working on them. When I'm working on her head, my hands are touching in a way that she can still move around, okay? Wow. Ta-da. And in my mind's eye, often it will be like, man, I'm only imagining that I'm even doing this. Guess what? That means you're touching really, really gentle and you're working with it. Okay? That's perfect. That's what you want. Okay, well, she's just crawling over here. So I'm gonna crawl over here, show you how I'd work with that. She's just playing. Just gonna work on this absolute horizon. Actually, the head's a little bit easier right here because I'm standing up. But you can't see that. I'll make it so you can see. Now, what type of development should you expect to see from this? The first thing that you want to see is just progression. Okay, just want to see some sort of progression. It could be emotional, it could be cognitive, it could be visual, it could be physical, it could be there's one more. Visual, cognitive, it could be language, okay? You could have progression in any of those areas. Okay, well, she's moving. I'll just take you to where she's going. Because we're making this a real home application experience, okay? So here she is playing, still just working on the absolute horizon. And work on this for 30 minutes. Do it for 7 days straight, okay? And I just want you to see what happens. And if nothing happens, well, then I'm full of baloney. But I know you'll see something. If you're hoping with all hope and you just have nothing left to help your child develop and thrive, this is your answer. I know because I've been there. I was in the hospital with my 4-month-old. She was in respiratory distress. We'd extubated 3 times. She was on life support. And she failed bad. You could just see the air crushing her, and it was so sad. And I didn't know how to help her. She was hooked up to all this machinery. We'd been there for 2 months. And the doctor told us we probably either need to give her a trach or let her go. And that was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever faced in my life. I was told there was no way to help my child breathe. I was told there was nothing medically left that could be done, therapeutic or medically left, that could be done to help my baby. I was using oils. And I didn't know how to help my baby. This was about 6 years ago. And I found this lady on YouTube. First I looked up, how a baby should move, because I had the same concern about you, like, same as you. It's like, is it normal for a baby to be doing this? And everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, I don't think it's fine. Like, my baby's not moving. That was my problem, was I was concerned she wasn't moving. And they're like, yeah, some babies just don't move. And I'm like, that's baloney. Like, babies move. And so I just kept looking and said a prayer, looked up on YouTube, baby movements, found this video, birth to 1 month, of this lady showing what vision looks like from birth to 1 month. And I'm like, oh, this is how a baby's supposed to move from birth to 1 month. Like, I was looking for this several months ago. Like, I wish I would have found it, because I would have definitely known something was wrong with my baby. And so I just felt really strongly I should contact this lady. I contacted her. She called me up. She's like, you gotta help your baby breathe. And I'm like, I was told that was impossible. She's like, no, it's not impossible. Let's help your baby. So she sent me this video, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'm just gonna do 15 minutes on each side of baby's back, and for a week, I'm just gonna see what happens. I don't even know what to expect, but breathing would be nice if my baby was breathing and it helped her. And so, baby, here. And so my baby's hooked up to all this machinery. I did not this exercise that I'm showing you, the breathing exercise. But I did that exercise for 30 minutes. I did it on 15 minutes on each side of her back. And I'm like, nothing happened. Like, I'm not sure. But I said I was going to do it for a week. So I guess I'll come back tomorrow and try it again. And so, I was leaving the hospital. I looked at the screen going out of the ICU. I looked at the screen to get one last look at my baby's stats, and I was like, are you sure that's my baby's stats? I don't think that's right. So I walked all the way back to her room, and her heart rate was normal. And it hadn't been normal for over 2 months. 2 months since we'd been there. And I knew my baby was working so hard to function, and I just had never seen a normal heart rate from her. And I'm like, I don't know what this lady just showed me, but I need to learn more, because they weren't external changes. Like, something internal happened, and I need to know more. And so, that's how I found Movement Lesson. And I'm just gonna bring you over here a little bit. That's how I found Movement Lesson, and I've never looked back. It was my last hope. Again, like I told you, I tapped out of therapy and medical services. Like, it was my only thing that I had. And my baby couldn't even do tummy time, and I'm like, there has to be milestones before tummy time. I found Michelle, and she's like, yeah, there's a lot that happens before tummy time. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. Like, what happens? She's like, we'll do the absolute horizon. I'm like, what is that? What is the absolute horizon? And it's taken me 6 years to figure it out, to like actually know that I'm working on it. But guess what? You don't have to take that long to figure it out, because I'm showing you. This is the number one foundational thing that you can do to start helping your baby progress and develop. Now, if they're in respiratory distress, you might want to do the breathing exercise that I did. I will put that on the video at the end of this, so that you can do that video with your baby or child. It doesn't just have to be a baby. This child's 18 months old, and I was working on a 4-month-old when I first found Movement Lesson. I work on my husband. He's 32. And I work on everyone in between. Okay, so this applies to a child of any age. But this absolute horizon is just absolutely amazing what it does for structure. And you can see my baby's just playing and moving around. My focus is just the absolute horizon, letting her learn where her center is. letting her learn her orientation. Now she's moving a little bit because she wants the camera. Kids in general really need it here well, actually, they really need it in the head, chest, and pelvis. They need it in all those places. Whoop. And so that's where you really just want to try, and for the next 7 days, really work in those 3 areas. You can focus in one area for 30 minutes. Just make sure you hit the other 2. Okay, or in the whole 30 minutes, if your baby's a super mover, like, you just try and hit all the areas as equally as possible. And I just want you to see what happens. I don't want you to expect milestones. I don't want you to expect anything, but I want you to look for progressive experiences that your child didn't have before. And if you want to learn more, get into the Worried Parent Kit. And that has all the developmental courses that you need for your child's optimal development. It goes through the foundations before tummy time and the foundations between milestones that people miss. There's no skipping milestones in development. I'll just move you over here because she's playing. There's no skipping milestones. And if your child is unable to physically perform them, okay, whether they're stiff, they've got a diagnosis, they've got CP, they've got autism, they've got CP, cerebral palsy, they've got muscular dystrophy, spinal muscular atrophy, they've got cortical visual impairment, they've got they have a deletion, they have rare genetics, they're missing chromosomes, they have a rare disease. These are the foundations of development, and all children can experience them. Now, if you're just worried about your kid and they don't have anything, guess what? You can still help them. And so, if you want that kit, get it. It's in the description. You get a 90-day free access to the support program, which gives you access to all the milestone courses, and I will be there to help guide you every step of the way. This will be hard. So if you're a person that doesn't want to learn and you're a wanny, like, don't click on that link. But if you're a person that works hard and you're willing to do what it takes to help your child have optimal development, well, then this link is for you. And you're going to look at all the courses in your library and you're going to be like, oh, that's a lot. Guess what? It's okay. We're just going to take it one step at a time. And you just have to do the work. The only way to help your child progress is you actually have to manually teach them how to do it with optimal development. And you learn how to do it with these amazing courses created by Michelle. I put in home application videos to help you understand, like, hey, this is how you do it at home. If you don't understand what Michelle's saying, you just be like, hey, Aaron, I don't get this. I've got visuals, things like that to help you understand these basic conceptual terms of development. You need them. You want them. Don't let anyone tell you wait and see. Don't say, hey, these are red flags, but these aren't. Okay, if you're worried, that's a red flag. It just doesn't matter. And your child just may be mildly struggling with movement, and that's okay. Or it may be very severe, and we don't need to wait for that. You know, your baby doesn't need to wait to get help. Unfortunately, if you're in the middle ground, your baby will just slip through the cracks. And then a few years later, it'll be like, oh, there's a problem now. Your child needs services in school. Your child needs, and guess what? It all started here when everyone told you your baby was okay. And your baby wasn't okay. Your baby was showing you signs that he or she or it, or whatever term you use, needed help with development. So like and subscribe to the channel so you can get more information on what true development is, how to measure it, how to get evaluated for it, and how to work with your baby. Thanks.